Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Roast.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with our reaction and review for The Amazing Race 38, Episode 3. So there's some good news and bad news to start off this particular review because last week we were fairly harsh about the design of the leg.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think this leg was pretty good. I think that the problem is it's just the design of the whole season right now is kind of sort of.
Yeah, I mean, this alliance, it's like watching Big Brother, where there is a big, powerful alliance like the Brigade. They're just rolling over everybody. But that is to be expected when you have a bunch of Big Brother players all helping each other out. But at the same time, they're helping each other out a little too much. Actually, writing out instructions to leave for Jazz and Jag, why do they need this much help? They're already like such comp beasts that they're like, you know what? We'll give away the number one spot because it's Natalie's birthday. I'm just like, oh my God. Like the sheer like confidence in yourself that you can just be like, you know what? We'll give away a number one spot.
Okay, I want to know, do Jag and Jazz have some sort of like special aura around them that just makes other people want to help them? We had
Yes.
the whole express pass situation.
Yes.
We now have the direction situation. But speaking of direction here, I think there are two fundamental issues with this season. Like
Mm.
one of them you clocked right out the gate here, which is just the alliances. You already have an alliance on The Amazing Race. It's with your partner. I
Yes.
think that's why watching alliances on this show has never been as fun as Survivor or Big Brother.
No, and also it's just, this is for $1 million. I want to see people really fighting.
Yeah.
I don't want to see alliances on this show because this ends up happening where it's now starting to feel very predictable of like who's going to be at the head of the pack this whole season. And if Jazz and Jag don't win this season after having the express pass, people leaving them directions, they're so good at challenges. Like if they don't win, then I don't know what this season is about anymore.
Yeah, on top of all this, the other issue is there's no real equalizer. We had like a
No.
tiny equalizer, the tiniest at the start of this leg, and it really didn't actually equalize anything. And I'm not saying you need to have one every single leg, but this is the third leg of the season. And the big problem with this episode is just that, yeah, there's a little bit of variance in these challenges, but not so much that the order of the teams was dramatically shaken up here.
And it really wasn't. I mean, the same people that have been at the back of the pack, still at the back of the pack. Like, it feels like every week they're just going to get picked off and picked off and picked off.
Yeah, luckily there's some fun challenges we can talk through, and I
Mhm.
think there are some contestants this season that are getting increasingly likable by, well, I guess I should say more likable by the episode. We will
Mhm.
get into all of that. Before we do, though, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more coverage of The Amazing Race Season 38
Yeah.
featuring all our favorite Big Brother house guests. But we are also in the midst of Survivor 49. We have a review of that latest episode up on the channel as well.
Also, it is Matt's birthday coming up on Monday. So if you want to give him a bit of an early gift, head over to our Instagram, which is Matt and Jess TV, and give us a follow over there. We're going to have lots of birthday pictures up over the weekend of the celebration. So
Yeah.
hopefully you guys will be part of that.
Thank you guys so much for following us over there. Like, we really do appreciate it. All right, so first and foremost, we are told at the start of this, like, okay, we are finally getting a self-drive, which is always entertaining just because there's always either someone who is awful at directions or someone who doesn't know how to drive whatever car that the show is giving them.
Yes.
I think that this time around, we at least had some drama when it comes to directions with people getting lost. And on paper, I was like, perfect, because this is the sort of thing that could mix up the order a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if we were in this situation, you would have to be the navigation. I would be the driver, which is how we typically do get around.
Yeah.
And Matt's pretty good at directions, so I think that we'd be all right because I'm terrible at directions. Like if I don't have a little map, actually GPS just telling me exactly where to go, I don't know where I'm going.
Listen, guys,
I'm Michael Scott. It'll lead me right into the lake and I'll follow it.
okay. I am the map version of Daredevil, where Daredevil doesn't have a sight, everything else is
Mhm.
great. I can't drive because of my sight. Because of that, I have honed my skills in navigation. And there are times, and this is an extremely nerdy hobby, where I just go on Google Maps and I'm like, I want to see what the street view is like at this city that's on the other side of the world. I think I
She
could
does this.
handle it's fun, question mark. No, I think I could handle the navigation part of it. At least through this percentage of the leg, the Matt and Jess team, I feel like we're doing all right. We're going strong.
As long as we're part of an alliance, because it really does feel like this season, if you're not part of this alliance, unless you're Tucker and Eric, like you're not able to catch up.
Yeah.
Like it was just the divide between who's in the front and who's in the back. It felt like there was nobody really in the middle.
It was, yeah, it just felt like everyone was hours and hours and hours separate from each
Yes.
other, like to the point where we'll get to the Phil House call later on in this video. But that's how we start things off. But then we get into this series of challenges, and there were a few of them. So what wasn't one of these legs where it's just like, okay, you're gonna go do these two things and you're gonna wander over to the mat.
Yes.
First and foremost, we have the roadblock with
Mhm.
trying to fill up these glasses. I feel like I'm going to end up doing this one. I'm not saying I'm going to be good at it, but I'm saying I'm going to end up doing it.
Absolutely. I am allergic to gluten. This is not the challenge for me. Like the slow and steady part of it is the challenge for me, and that would be great. But I have celiac disease, so beer on my hands, getting into my mouth and my face, like I'm just gonna end up in the hospital. So no,
Can
no
we
for me.
Could we okay, I was about to be like, could we request gluten-free beer in advance? But it's sort of I have a disadvantage in doing this video because I know what the second roadblock in this episode is, and I'm looking at that and I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that. So it's like, all
There's
right.
no way I'm doing that either. I'm Canadian, and you might think, oh, well, then she can skate. And the answer is no, because everywhere I go, I fall, and everything I touch drops. So neither of these were good for me. And then we haven't even got to the plowing
No.
yet. There is no way that I am pulling that thing. I'm 5 feet tall. I am teeny tiny. I am weak. I am not pulling that thing.
Where we are getting to is that Phil is also going to be visiting us
Yes.
separate from the pit stop. But
Yes.
no, I've never done any sort of bartending. I'm not familiar with any sort of this equipment. I think the closest thing I ever did was when I was in high school. I worked at the football concession stand, and that was really just pouring soda, and that's a completely different thing, guys.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't like beer that could make me ill, I think I would have done okay at this challenge. It is something that is slow and steady, and I'm definitely a more like slow vibing person.
Yeah, most of the teams, it's felt like they did all right with this. Like the only real exception was Kat and Alex, who were already really far behind, and it just
Yeah.
seemed like Alex did not exactly know what he was supposed to do there.
Rubina was having the best time. I love her so much. Her attitude, I know she had a bit of a freak out later, but you know, bless her heart. And she just was taking that beer with as much stride as she could. It was so funny.
And that's what I do really like about watching teams on this show sometimes is that there are really competitive people, but you don't want to let that whole I gotta finish first, I gotta finish first, like overwhelm the fact that this is still a really fun, really crazy experience. And I think
Yes.
Rubina is one of those people that she's just like a great person to watch go through all of this. And I mean, in a way, so is Tucker with the whole ice cream stunt on this past step. I
Yes.
mean, they did not stop for food as far as we know this time around, but I like these little things of, okay, we want to try to enjoy a little bit of what we're doing.
Yeah, and she really has just such a good attitude about it.
So as we start to get into the whole plowing challenge, like the show did its best at various points to make it look like there was some drama here because we had Chelsea and her dad getting really, really lost. We had other people getting really lost. But
We also had the lost car keys.
yeah, and that actually at this plowing challenge, I legitimately did worry for a moment there about the car keys because there is this really famous challenge from seasons past on The Amazing Race where you're unrolling these huge bales of hay and looking for a clue in them,
Mhm.
and it's a literal needle in a haystack. And when they couldn't find that key, and I was looking at that field, I would be there forever. I would still be there.
Yeah, Joseph and Adam got very, very lucky that they actually spotted it because it was, I don't know how they did that.
No,
They
I
got very lucky.
very, very lucky because this that we've seen this time and time again over the years where oh I've lost my fanny pack. Oh, I've lost my passport. It's
Mhm.
just like going and retracing your steps can be very, very hard. I mean, another thing they got really lucky about is that this was something that they actually needed in order to leave the task and not something that they had to realize later on, oh, we don't have this, and then they had to drive all the way back.
Absolutely.
All right, so
But
we
I don't feel that bad for them because they also had written out instructions for them. It was so ridiculous. Natalie and Stephanie,
yeah,
ladies, please stop doing this. Like, it was so frustrating to watch that happen.
it was
I understand you're in an alliance and you want to help
yeah.
each other out, but like, no.
This is the other thing that's really lame about this alliance is just that it completely negated what could have been the really fun return of this driver's seat twist that they haven't really had in the race all
Hmm.
that long.
Yeah.
But because Natalie and Stephanie, they had this all, it's like, okay, we know two people, you're not going to like supremely disadvantage, and you tried to game it out a little bit, but it's just because of the alliance and how far teams were behind, it just wasn't that compelling.
Yeah, and I know that they were kind of like, oh, well, try to get Natalie and Stephanie to do it, and they can get blood on their
Yeah.
hands. But I mean, they really just like equaled it out the best that they could. We're like, okay, all the guys are going to get
Yeah.
3 crates, all the girl teams will get one, and everybody else in the middle will get the two. And it's kind of like, well, there is no blood on anybody's hands. And
No.
you had two teams there that were both had two males on them, so they ended up getting 3 crates each, anyways, which is not really an advantage.
No, this was all much ado about nothing. It was a
Yes.
complete waste of this twist that could have been fun in other scenarios.
Yes.
Now, the plowing challenge, like here's how I think it would go for us is that neither one of us are athletes. I feel like I have spent 10 minutes in a gym before and I've done 10 minutes of lifting. If we could figure out the pattern to this really fast, and this is
Mhm,
a very
mhm,
big if
mhm.
because it did seem like there was a method to doing it properly.
Yes.
I think we could have survived. I think the problem is
Sold, as long as you're the person pulling
okay,
the plow.
here's the problem is that I feel like, and I do this sometimes, I either go way too hard on something or I go way too small. I'm like a swinging pendulum and I never really know how to hit the middle of it. I feel like I would have done one or the other, and then I would have gone really, really hard. My arms would have died, and then we just would have stayed there and cried.
And then I just would have been, I guess, dragging at the back because I'm very, very small.
Yeah, not only is she going to end up having to do the plow, she's going to have to pull me and my dying arms around the rest of the field. But that whole task, I mean, yeah, it was a little bit of variance that went in here,
Yeah.
but it still wasn't that extreme. But then we get to the other roadblock. Now, this one felt like, okay, this could really actually legitimately trip some people up.
Absolutely. I mean, ice skating alone, not that easy. Like I said, I grew up in Canada. Yeah, I've done some ice skating. I was really bad at it. I don't know what it is. I'm just extremely clumsy. It was not the sport for me, let me say. Like, and I tried and tried and tried. And back in Canada, there'd be a tons of class trips in grade school. They're like, we're going to the ice rink. And I'd be like, oh my God, no, I am sick. I need to stay home. It's a miserable experience. You're just cold and you're falling on the ice. That's my experience. So seeing this, I was just like, I already know Matt's going to be like, you're going to be the one that's
Yes.
doing it. Canadian ice skater person, you hockey, Canada. No, I don't like
Get on
hockey
it.
either. None of it. I wouldn't be able to do it. All that equipment, I would extra be falling on my butt.
Jess, you're going out there. You're gonna have your
Bruh.
maple syrup. You're gonna everything that is Canadian. No,
I'll take the maple syrup, but
yeah.
I will be in the stands.
Okay, here's my experience
I
with
know I
ice.
would have to do this.
Yeah, I've never ice skated. I did once go on a
Oh,
field
then I
trip.
definitely have to do this.
Okay, I went on a field trip once to like an ice rink, but it was some other sort of game that I don't even remember what the game was that everyone was playing that you didn't put on ice skates for. One of the other people I was with broke their arm 10 minutes into this
Oh
field
my
trip. I
God.
looked at that and I was like, I'm good. I don't need to do this. And from that moment on, I decided I'm never going to ice skate. I have roller skated once. I roller skated completely over the rail and then fell on the other side. So, Jess, have at it. Good luck.
Thank
All the
you.
best to you.
Thank you. Roller skating, very different than ice skating. It feels like entirely different. It is so much easier to roller skate than ice skate, I think, because those little blades, ice, crack my head open. Pass.
Okay, so we see all this go, and of course, Jagged Jazz do this no problem, as they do pretty much any challenge.
Yep.
The first time I started to sit back and be like, okay, maybe there's a little drama here with Tucker and Eric, because the experience of watching Tucker is that he is insanely competitive, insanely entertaining, but he's also somebody where if he doesn't get his way pretty quick, he's going to go into full on tantrum mode, and it's going to be really, really. I feel like we were maybe 2 failures away from Tucker throwing all of his equipment out of the rink.
Tucker and Eric are doing really well considering that they're not in the alliance.
Yeah.
Like coming in fourth, I was rooting for them. I'm rooting for anybody that is
Yes.
not in this alliance now because it's getting a bit predictable.
Yeah, I'm a big Tucker fan. I want to see Tucker and Eric make it really, really far, but it is hard when it is basically that team against three other teams. And
Yes.
like because of also when this race was filmed, like it was long before Big Brother this summer, like the
Mhm.
most recent experience a lot of these people have watching Tucker was watching him dominate all of these challenges. So they're all gonna look at him and be like, okay, you are one of the biggest threats.
Yeah, and they're doing very well. Good for you, Tucker and Eric. You take up this alliance.
Please, Amazing Race, give us an equalizer so that they have more of a chance to actually finish first.
Yeah.
Now, where we are with some of the other teams, and this is where we get into some of this the sad music here, is that okay, we clearly have Kyland and Taylor. They're fairly far behind, but not
Yes.
so far behind. We have to think they're in serious danger.
Yeah, Cat also really far behind.
It's just okay.
So far behind.
I think the real question I'm wondering here is that let's say hypothetically all these teams started these tasks in the same exact spot. Would Kat and Alex have had a chance to go a little bit further ahead of some teams because they had some slip ups in the beer challenge? It
Mhm.
felt like Alex did this hockey thing for like 2 hours and just kept failing time and time again.
Yeah, that's how far back Matt and Meg were. They were not even on the show for 40 minutes in this episode. I was just like, where are they? Where could they be? They're so far behind that they weren't even featured for 40 minutes.
I love Turner and Megan.
I know.
They seem like great, wholesome people. If they had a challenge here about who could design the coolest rug, like I feel like they would have a
Turner,
great
Turner.
like they would do great at that. But they were terrible. They're terrible at the Amazing Race.
This
Like
was not the show.
it was not the show for them. It seems like Turner was actually okay in the first challenge, but then they must have been lost for hours on hours because by the time we got to filmmaking the house call at the field, it looked like the sun was setting. It looked like everybody had been checked in for a really long time.
Yeah, I mean, they were so far behind. This is not for them. I was really like, I really wanted to root for them, but this game is not for them.
No, find another show. We will root for you guys
Yes.
there. But overall, this episode, it was enjoyable. I mean, task wise, great moments for some of the racers, but it's just like producers, you need to figure something out here when it comes to just trying to create a little bit of drama between the teams.
Yeah, I mean, Jazz and Jag are just so far ahead of everyone. Like, we briefly spoke about this, but the idea that they got there first, but like waited it out
Yeah.
to give away a first place. I mean, how confident are you in this race that you're willing to give away a first place to someone else? And then they're in their confessional being like, oh, it looks better that we're coming in second. I'm like, what? Natalie and Stephanie aren't going to tell people? Do you know what Jazz and Jag did for me for my birthday? They gave us, first place. Like that's obviously going to get around.
Real talk here, I would never give someone else first place. And you know
$1
why?
million.
Yeah.
That's what you're racing for. And you're going to give somebody else first place for why?
Yeah. And sometimes you get a prize for finishing first. And I'm just sitting
And
back.
they did.
Yeah, I would be like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to be eliminated on the next leg. I may not win the I want whatever prizes Phil wants to give me right now. Okay, but that is where we are with this episode of The Amazing Race. So let us know in the comments, who are you rooting for at this point? Do you think this whole European format is just like getting rid of equalizers and long plane trips and all that? Like, let us know. Hit that subscribe button and you can support us further by joining our Patreon. That link is in the description. Thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you here next time.